What is going on? Welcome back to Financial Journey. So today we're going to talk to you on Lucid, more specifically some expectations for this upcoming week, what might cause some volatility in the stock price, go over some of the current data points, and go over everything else you need to know. But first, make sure to hit that thumbs up and subscribe. Always greatly appreciate that. And with that said, let's get right to it. So Friday was a pretty epic day for Lucid. It did go up 2.61%. A lot of volatility though, so 416 the low, 448 was the high. Both will make sense when I go over the technicals, but a lot of big money has been getting into Lucid as of late. So 29.91 million shares were traded on Friday, 27.05 million the average. These are some of the transactions that did occur on Friday over $100,000 on the secondary market. So you see some couple big ones, so 1.08 million, 6.88 million. So big money was getting in. And plus, if you compare this to any other Friday, night and day difference. Normally Fridays are relatively quiet, but you can even see based on this, just the money flow was massively getting into equities, I guess in Japan and the States, exiting out of UK and China, oddly enough, but big money was buying on Friday and over the last couple of days as well. So definitely a very positive thing. When it comes down to some data points to really watch for this upcoming week, just to go over, there's only two really to watch for, and one of which starts on Wednesday, and that is ADP non-farm employment change. So far the forecast is around 128,000, and then on Friday, non-farm payroll forecast is around 180,000. So two very big indicators linked to consumers. The Feds are going to be watching that like a hawk. And so if those are very positive, then you can anticipate the market is just going to go straight up. So we'll obviously do your own due diligence at the end of the day. When it comes down to Lucid specific stuff, there hasn't and isn't anything listed under Lucid's website for upcoming events. So I've kind of brought this up as more of a concern, but they have flip-flopped on, I guess, whoever manages their website. So they've been very active about updating a lot of things, and then they go quiet, and then they active, or like, I don't know, they just need to be a little bit more consistent. So I find it relatively hard to believe that Lucid has no upcoming events to really note, to put on their website, especially considering if you are on social media, whether it be Twitter or whatever else, they do quite a lot of posts and they give a lot of updates saying that they were at this place and pop-up studio, but so far absolutely nothing. And I know for a fact there has been some pop-up studios out in Saudi Arabia, so why is that not listed right here? So again, a little bit more of a letdown there, but there isn't anything ultimately planned for Lucid for this upcoming week. And as of late, there has been no recent news, no SEC filings, nothing like that. So it is just purely piggybacking off of the broader market, making these two data points very key for Lucid's positive momentum for the week. But like I mentioned, I'll give you a quick overview of everything that you need to know, including shorts, options. There is a couple articles coming out still talking about this truck, or the pickup truck. Some are saying that it's going to be as early as 2025. I kind of do disagree with that, only because of just the logistics about the gravity. I feel like they wouldn't have back-to-back vehicles come out relatively around the same time, and because tail end of 2024, that's ultimately when the gravity is going to be fully pumped out to the fullest of its ability. So when it comes down to the truck or the pickup truck, I think it's going to be more so by 2030, as what's kind of listed right here. So it says by 2030 Lucid anticipates blah blah blah, it goes over all these vehicles, and you can kind of see 2023 just the gravity and Lucid Air, and then 2030 has all of these products. So there's going to be a lot of big things by 2030, and plus that's going to match with the whole 2030 vision of Saudi Arabia and the PIF. So definitely Lucid is going to get a lot more exciting over the next couple of years. But it does say right here the planned pickup truck is going to be about 7% of overall their products. So oddly enough, that's going to be a pretty good, I guess, market share. And it's kind of interesting, especially with what happened with Tesla recently and their weird Cybertruck unveil. So you can kind of see a lot of people are talking about that and how potentially Tesla might have lied on just, I guess, the size of the battery. So once again, that's just kind of a FYI kind of interesting thing. Going over data points, starting off with options for this upcoming week. I'll just quickly refresh that. Based on Friday, there was roughly around $564,000 in calls being purchased versus 633 in puts. So kind of evenly divided. And if you kind of zoom out and looking at the 7-day, about 3.18 million in calls versus 34 million in puts. So Friday was a little bit more of a light switch, a lot more positive stuff in comparison to the last several weeks or whatever else. Looking at the specific data points though for the call options, this shows all the strike prices, expiry dates. People are anticipating for it to be above roughly the 450 range, so anywhere from $4.50 to $5, which is relatively good. And looking at the puts, it is anticipated for it to be sub $4. So both will make sense once I go over the technicals in a second. But going with shorts, I'll go over what shorts are doing right now. And again, I've kind of indicated this in the past. Shorts are very much overextended with Lucid, but in order for a squeeze to happen, you need a surprise catalyst, and I don't think Lucid has any up their sleeve unless they have some OEM partnerships, maybe for, I guess, their intellectual property or, I don't know, or licensing. But as it stands, I don't see Lucid being a short squeeze play. On Friday, shorts did return though 1.82 million shares. So the way I interpret that, by them returning on a green day, shows that it's justified and that more upside might be coming. But still, moving on from that, 28.31% of the free float is being shorted. 250.78 million shares overall are being shorted. Cost to borrow average kind of lower in comparison to Thursday, so 15.75%. And through Interactive Brokers, short availability does indicate around 1 million shares available to be shorted. So kind of interesting stuff. I still do stand by what I've been saying about 28.31% is just way too high for what Lucid does offer. I get they've had quite a lot of negatives, including demand issues, just burning through a lot of money, dilution, but having 28%, that's just, I don't know, that is too high if you ask me. One positive thing I just wanted to share with you, I do always monitor what analysts are doing for the upcoming earnings. It might be a little bit more premature, but for the upcoming Q4 earnings, it looks like some analysts are getting a little bit more optimistic, or more so, the bearish ones are leaving, because it did go from 9 analysts giving an estimate to now 6, and it went from -34 to -31, meaning that a lot of the bearish ratings or bearish analysts kind of removed their estimates. So that's kind of a positive thing, but you guys do your own due diligence at the end of the day. But finally, let's talk on some technicals and some expectations for this upcoming week. So with it at $4.33, actually I'll just move to the 4-hour just to give a little bit more of a closer viewpoint, but with it at $4.33, it is between this P and this R1. Friday was a very volatile day because it had a high of around 448, so it kind of bounced off of this R2 and then had 416 as the low, so it kind of bounced off of this S1. So it range bound from S1 to R2. That is absolutely crazy. A couple other stocks did that as well, so Rivian was one of them. That one closed at 7.58%. So a lot of volatility in the EV market, and I feel like a lot of institutions are dumping a ton of money into these undervalued stocks, which some people are saying is justified. Some people are saying that it's not, because even if you do look at, for instance, the multiples, I guess the PS ratio on Lucid is 14.2 versus the future is 10.2. So a lot of people are saying that it's just too expensive still. And in comparison, I think Polestar is like 1.7, Tesla's at like 2 or 3, and Rivian's at like 8. If those are, I don't quote me on those numbers, but they're close enough. Once again, it does put it in perspective that Lucid, in comparison to that, is a little bit higher, and I think that you're paying a higher premium because of the security associated to the PIF. But once again, that's just my own opinion. When it comes down to the data points for this upcoming week, I feel like they are going to be positive, causing a nice run up with Lucid. So with it, like I said, at these ranges, I'm just going to quickly go back over here just to show you this. So with it at 433, I feel like it could easily get above this R1. So potentially between this R1 and this R2. That's obviously dependent on those very positive data points. If not, then it might actually do quite the opposite and trend down. And so some very strong supports are around that $3.94 and then $3.76. So a lot of volatility is going to be in Lucid's future up until most likely they get closer to 2030, or potentially over the next couple of years when they do start to really ramp up on their production and just bring in a lot of good necessary revenue. So a lot of volatility, but I still do believe in Lucid, and I absolutely love doing options. So I still hold my position, and obviously I just do covered calls, and I do sell puts on occasion, because if it gets to where I want, then I get it at at the price I want. If not, then I get free premiums. So it's kind of a win-win. So if you don't know options, I highly suggest in researching them. But no matter what, when I do bring this up, it is just merely a sentiment and doesn't necessarily move the stock price. So just be aware of that. But a couple additional things I just wanted to share with you. Momentum shows number of retail investors have been getting in. It looks like ever since around November the 22nd. Stochastic is at 76 because of Friday. There was a little bit more of a start of a bearish sentiment, but with it at 76, it is considered a little bit overbought. But like I said, there's a lot of circumstances all happening at the exact same time. So a lot of big money is rushing into the markets from fixed income. So I think that's giving it a nice little bump up as well. But once again, on the technicals, it might need to consolidate a little bit. So Monday or potentially Tuesday might be a consolidation day before the Wednesday and Friday data points do come out, giving it a nice boost up. But then again, I'm not a financial advisor. So let me know your thoughts on all of this in the comments below. So give yourself a shout out. Have you been buying, selling? What have you been doing with Lucid as well? If you've been doing options, what expiry date and strike price have you been picking, and potentially why? So once again, let me know your thoughts. And one final, I guess, question for you guys. When it comes down to this pickup truck, when do you think it's going to come out? Do you think it's ever going to come out? Or do you think it's going to be 2025, as what a lot of articles are potentially alluding to? Or do you think it's going to be around 2030? What's your viewpoint? Don't forget to hit that thumbs up and subscribe. Always greatly appreciate that. And one final thing, take advantage of this promo with Moomoo. So just sign up for an account with Moomoo, throw $100 at it, and you get 5 free stocks. Each stock is valued up to $2,000. So this is one of the best deals on the market. Take advantage of that. Plus, it actually has Lucid as one of the tickers, as you can kind of see. Link in the description below and also the comments. With all that said, I appreciate all of you watching.